So I just wanted to explain really quick, instead of putting a bunch of writing for you to read, this is part 3 of 3 of part 17. So if you watched my previous videos as well as part 1 and 2 of this part 17, part 1 is when I showed you all the rocks, what happens to them after they roll in rivers and they become really non-recognizable after rolling in rivers and being exposed to weather and elements. The second one shows you 5,000 pictures of different mountains and what to look for. And this one is not my video, it's somebody else's video, but it's going to prove to you when I tell you that the gold, the silver, the uranium, the quartz, precious gemstones all came from these plants, trees, shrubs, bushes, and vegetation. And like I say, I don't know, they're all the properties of these trees, and I don't know the purpose of it, God's creation, but it's not what they teach you in school or geology or science, okay? This video here is going to prove to you a non-biased video of somebody else. And if you've watched my other videos in the last 2 here as well, in this 17 part, you're going to see, they're going to show you, they're looking for the sulfides, the gold, the quartz, the silver, and what they're looking in, you're going to see that it's just remains of the tree, and that's going to show you that the gold, the silver, the quartz, uranium, gemstones, all that comes from the tree, okay? And that's what you're going to see, okay? So I really hope you enjoy it. I may put another video of theirs in, but I think this one should seal the deal pretty good, showing you the truth of where the precious metals and the stones and the gems and uranium, everything comes from. Because like I say, if this is the first video you've watched mine, you're not going to understand. But you got to, if you've watched my other videos and kept up with the series, you're going to understand, and you're going to see without a doubt that all them properties of the precious metals and gems and stones comes from the tree, okay? And those of you who know about my dog Allie, I just wanted to show you really quick her memorial. Let me see here. This is her little shelf right here. That's my sweet girl up there. I sure miss her. She was a pretty special girl. All her little memorabilia stuff. You know, she died of cancer, bone cancer. And there's my sweet Ruby girl. And there's Allie up there. You can see her spirit. What a beautiful dog she was. That's the last picture I took of her in the mountains. And there's her. She was a therapy dog for 5 years in the hospitals and hospice, working with the veterans, the U.S. Attorney's Office. She was a pretty special girl. But yeah, that's it. This is a card I got from one of the hospitals and all her pictures, and this is her in here. I took her to the ocean and we found an actual seahorse. It was kind of funny. And there's my little Roxy. It reminds me of Timon. And then this is Gracie. This is what manifested after Allie passed away, but she's just in there because we just got done taking her out and we're just giving them a rest. Anyway, let me turn this camera around. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. It's going to prove once and for all, like I say, I don't mean to repeat myself, but the gold, the silver, the uranium, the precious gemstones, all that stuff came from the sap that petrified in the trees, the mica, everything. And I believe different things came from different plants or trees or shrubs, bushes. but this is going to prove it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.
Searching new area today. We have our first find. I guess this isn't a first find, but it is a first find for us. First time locating it. Small showing, oxidized outcrop here with disseminated sulfides throughout schists. And you have small little stringers, such as that, very small, of sulfides. You have minor amounts of quartz veining cutting through, but the quartz is not mineralized. Mineralization is mainly running in your host rock, like right there. And if you take a look, 20 meters away, you have another small exposure. And the reason why I say this isn't a first find, because it is not a first find for other companies, but is a first find for us, first time locating this. So you can see drill holes been popped in here. That was done in the early 80s as part of a larger exploration project on this entire mountain. You can see disseminated sulfides and veining of sulfides in your, again, schistose host rock. So the drill hole went fairly deep, 4.2 meter section where they intersected. Nice amounts of silver running with sulfides, but it was found at pretty good depth, so they determined it wasn't worthwhile to pursue. Before we take off, we're just going to quickly pull a sample off right here. You can see the mineralization right there. Pretty decent, so we might as well just pull a sample, catalog it. We aren't going to send this in for an analysis because we pretty much know the extent of this deposit here, but it's always good to have samples, so why not? So decent amount of mineralization. So I'll get about 250 grams of this stuff. There are multiple showings on this property. We're going to see if we can locate some of them today, see if we can find some new things. We might not find anything, but you guys will have to stay tuned. Let's head out. So this is a pretty big mineral property. Just for a reference point, you can see all the way over there you have a white hunk of exposed quartz, and then you have quartz all the way up on the hill up there. Nice exposures up there all the way along here. That is from a previous video we just recently posted. Mineralization 2 to 4% sulfides with a little bit of free mill gold. So just a reference point, the claim starts about here and goes that way for about 3 kilometers, and it goes that way 3 kilometers, and we have half this mountain staked on other properties. So we're going to be here quite a bit. Gotta love overgrown roads. So we had a issue with the road and the fact that it's not a road anymore, at least. It turned out to be overgrown and just too difficult to make it through with any good pace. So we're gonna hike up here. There's tons and tons of bedrock up here. So we're gonna take a look at some of that and move along this way. Another reference point, quartz veining starts over there. This is the road we just tried to walk down. Dead-ended, a couple hundred meters down there. So we decided to walk up here. And I spotted something that looked interesting. Kind of looked like a small mine dump, and sure enough, we have a flooded shaft. So there's no record of this anywhere. I wasn't able to find anything. And what it looks like is they struck this on massive sulfide mineralization. There is a nice big honker of a sulfide vein running down there. Other sulfide stringers running through here. And over here you have hunks of it exposed in the side of the mine dump. So we're obviously going to explore this, take some samples, get over there, take some more samples, and we'll see what we can pull out today. Very interesting. Huge vugs with your pyrite. Wonder what's going to be in here. Look at this sulfide mineralization. Crazy. So most likely by some of the quartz here. They're following a quartz vein with mineralization. So this is the field way on how to test how deep a mine shaft is that's filled with water. So it's a good 12, maybe 15 feet, about 4 meters, 4.5 meters, which is kind of what I expected with the amount of waste rock around here. The amount of sulfide mineralization is insane here. So this is the one sample I just showed, and it was basically stacked like that, so you can tell you have about a 20 centimeter wide vein of just pure sulfides. So by looking at this, I can see this is primarily iron pyrite, but you do have some chalcopyrite minerals in here. A little bit difficult to point out chalcopyrite versus pyrite here because of some of the oxidization of your iron pyrites as well as your chalcopyrite, but here we have a tungsten scribe. If you guys don't have one of these in your prospecting kits, definitely get one. Perfect for testing the hardness of minerals and rocks, as well as pointing out certain minerals. So you can see here, all this along here is iron pyrite. All this right here, and again, it's going to be very difficult to see probably on camera, but that is chalcopyrite, and you can see right here a little bit of iridescent blue. That right there is some oxidization from chalcopyrite. It tends to turn an iridescent bluish, greenish, purplish, pinkish color. So another huge sample here, which is another just solid mass of pyrite and chalcopyrite. My guess is they were looking for copper because that is kind of a general mineral which was mined out on this mountain. They had a deposit of massive sulfides, primarily copper, gold, silver, lead, zinc, some cadmium. So we're going to send this in for a 51 element ICP, one sample from this area that we see that is the best. And if we come back here, if we do more sampling or we decide to send more samples in, we'll do that at a later date and just send in the element analysis for whatever one we find. So the rock here that we're looking at, or sulfides, look really, really decent. And the sulfides bear an odd resemblance to another shaft which was mined out about a kilometer away from here, and it looks like the exact same sulfide makeup. So that one over there assayed high for silver when we did a test. There was a little bit of gold and some zinc. Okay, so we got 3 samples. We took a mine dump grab sample there, mine dump grab sample there, and a third across this sulfide rich vein, which is 35 centimeters wide. And we wanted to get over there to get a bit more because there's more sulfides in there, but a little unsafe, so we'll not risk it for now. The banks don't look like they're too stable. One last thing I'll point out before we head off, that giant quartz vein is in a direction like this. And if you take this and line it up, it is directly in line with that. Your schists are running this way, and so is your sulfide veining and quartz vein. So the path we want to take now is following kind of this zone of mineralization and quartz veining and head up that way. May start to get dark or be dark by the time we get back. We don't want to fall in this shaft, so glow stick time. We'll be able to easily spot that. So we like to put glow sticks all around the open shafts, anywhere we can fall if we are coming back at night, even if it's a familiar area. And then on the way home, we pick up our glow sticks. So lots of uprooted trees here. Nice thing about uprooted trees is it exposes the ground underneath. And the ground underneath often has small little stringers of sulfides, like this one. All in there where that moss and dirt is built up. So we're going to pull a tiny little sample from here and we'll just catalog it for now and then keep going. So we are finding lots of uprooted trees like the ones behind me. Lots of oxidization, lots of disseminated mineralization, and we are finding some sulfide stringers. Very small, but they are sulfide stringers. We got this entire area up here to look at and see if we can find anything decent. So lots of trees. Finding a few grab samples as well. Perfect example of what schists are. This is some smooth, steep rock. Let's try and make it up. We are at the top. And not much mineralization here. Lots of oxidization, but just finely disseminated pyrite throughout schists. You have a nice rusty vein here, so we might hammer away at this a little bit. Could be just deteriorated sulfides. Looks like it. So we got a bunch of this rust here bagged, and you can definitely see little bits of remaining sulfides. Couple hunks that we pulled out of this crevice here. Chalcopyrite and pyrite. Another one of those rusty veins, about 30 centimeters wide. Chip sample showed small disseminated mineralization with lots and lots of oxidized, rusty, almost gossamer vein-like material. So we pulled a sample from there for cataloging. This is in line with the zone, so maybe at depth there might be more of a solid vein. And again, we're back on the front side. Quartz vein, massive quartz vein is running all along there. So logging has exposed quite a bit, as well as all this windstorm activity. We found about 6 new veins today. An old mine shaft that is not recorded anywhere, and a horde of grab samples all over this portion of the mountain. So you can see the fracture here all along here, and you have very oxidized, deteriorated sulfides, which under the jeweler's loupe looks like iron pyrite and minor amounts of chalcopyrite. Pulled off a couple samples here. So about a 10-15 centimeter wide vein at the widest part. And again, thank you, uprooted trees. So we are gonna do a little bit more searching before it gets dark. Any assay results we'll post at the end of the video. We've pretty much scoured this entire portion of the mountain, all the way over here, all the way down here, anywhere in between here. Right up there is where that shaft is. Zone of oxidization is about 200 meters wide going this way and travels that way. We've chased it for approximately 700-800 meters. Spent 6.5 hours out here today, and it's getting pretty dark, so we're gonna try and check out a few more spots along the road on the way back that we didn't get to see, and that'll be it. We found a new showing which is exposed in a small quarry. Semi-massive sulfide mineralization. Look at the awesome looking mineral in there, all the mineral in there. You got this big hunk right here. So we are going to pull off a nice big sample. We got another one, which we'll show you in a second. So my prospecting partner just discovered a small little vein here, and he pulled off a nice sample. You can see quartz veining, disseminated chalcopyrite, minor amounts of pyrite in there. And you can see the very nice looking sulfide mineralization. All this in here is chalcopyrite. This stuff over here is primarily iron pyrite. So that is a decent sample. Okay, so we pulled a bit more off, and look at massive mineralization going all the way back. Look at the sample. Always nice to see massive sulfides on a mountain which was famously known for mining their massive sulfide deposits. Finding another couple samples here with small veins. So we're going to work this a little bit more and see what else we can pull out of there. Working that pocket a bit. I've gotten 11 kilograms worth of samples. So that is also very, very nice. And the vein continues on. So the last little area here, which you want to check out before we head out for the evening. You have little patches of oxidization, small little sulfide stringers in there, and lots of oxidized samples on the ground. You got schist as your host rock, and lots of mineralized samples. This is the first one here. You can see pretty heavy mineralization all along here. So this is going to be the last sample we take for the night before we head out. So let's pull it off and take a look. Okay, so one more reference point. Where we are right now, we are 1.5 kilometers away from that mine shaft, and we are almost 2 kilometers away from that big quartz vein, which was located in a previous video. So same kind of zone, schistose panel with hordes of deposits, primarily sulfide, semi-massive and massive. And there's lots of new exposed areas with all the recent logging. So here are some of the samples we pulled off this big boulder. These will probably be good enough for a analysis. And that is the last little piece right there. So that is the end of the video, guys. We are nearing 7:30 p.m. It is dark and we want to go home. So hope you guys enjoyed all the exploration and all the samples, the mine. Take care, everyone. Have a good one and good night.